Good morning, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the 31 Days of Witchcraft. This is a hashtag created by Heather over at Heather Carter. I will have a link to her channel down below as well as a list of all of the prompts. But today's question is about what my favorite element is to work with. And I was thinking about this because the answer is super obvious if you've been watching my channel. I love working with fire. But I was kind of asking myself why that is. And for me, I feel like each of the four elements holds its own alchemy, its own power to transform, essentially by itself. Water transforms slowly over time. We know that. We've touched sand and river stones and seen the way it can erode the land. And air transforms. It whips leaves off of trees and it blows fresh perspective into life in general. It clears away debris. It has its own form of transformation. Earth transforms slowly as it decomposes or breaks down what has been placed in it. And each of those has its own sort of power and beauty. But I think the reason that fire appeals to me so much magically is because I can, in the span of a very short time, watch that alchemy happen. I can see paper turn to ash, and I can see herbs alight and drift smoke that I don't know. I think it's, when I think of energy, and I visualize energy looks almost flame-like to me. And so it feels the closest to fire. And so I don't think any of the elements are inherently more powerful than the other, but I do think fire is one of the quickest transformative elements. And so when I'm doing spell work and I need to release something, I feel like fire is so powerful and potent to transform what it is I'm trying to release into a form that I can release it. So if I write a petition on a piece of paper and burn that petition, and it gets broken down into ash, that ash, it's easy to then release to the wind or to the water. And I mean, ultimately, it's rare for me to do a spell involving, in fact, I think it's technically impossible to do a spell with only one element because even fire requires air. And often if I've been working with fire, I settle the spell or the remains of the spell with water for fire safety. And in the end, everything is returned to the earth. So ultimately, are we working with just fire? No. But in that moment, it feels like we are, you know? And I also find things like scrying works really well when I have candle flame to scry into or to flicker against my scrying surface, or reflect, to flicker and reflect. And it's interesting to me because I am such a water baby. I love the ocean. I love the water. I actually have said my entire life, way before I ever identified as any kind of a witch, that it was critical to my sense of well-being to live near a large body of water, ideally the ocean. But I remember looking at maps and thinking there were certain areas I just literally would not feel comfortable living because I'd be too far from water. And while there'd be water, I want like a really big lake or the ocean ideally, or raging rivers and waterfalls nearby. I need that. It's almost like my spirit longs for it. So and it's interesting too, the other thing I was thinking of, morning thoughts are so interesting. The other thing I was thinking of, interesting to me. The other thing I was thinking of was that I feel like I almost associate water with my spiritual work and fire with my magical work. I would be curious to hear if anybody's had a similar experience, but I feel like water is my element of choice to connect with divinity, to connect with my own divinity and deity, to connect with spirit, to feel really aware of higher power and of the meaning of life. And then I feel like fire is what I go to put things into action, to make my intention take form. It's interesting to me because really, when we think about the elements from an association or correspondence standpoint, water does have that depth. I made a water pun. Water does have that depth to it, and fire has that spark and that initiation and that what's the word I'm looking for here? catalyst type energy to it. Fascinating to me. But yeah, I really like fire. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you probably know that, because I talk a lot about using fire in my magical work. I talk a lot about using fire, even if you don't consider yourself a witch, but to do any kind of burning ritual that is obviously fire safety and all, but to do any kind of burning ritual is such a powerful symbolic act of transformation. And it just holds so much within it. And I also think I would be curious to know, actually, if people who are by nature very fiery people enjoy the idea of working with water magically, or if very earthy people enjoy working with air magically, that sort of thing, or if air people enjoy working with earth magically. I'd be curious to see how I see the interplay of elements, how people that associate with those elements see their magic. Although I do think in general we're going to see a lot of answers of fire in this space. I would just be curious. I would be curious to know, because my chart is actually water and air majority. Yeah. So fire is my element. If you're participating in the 31 days of witchcraft, let me know down below. I'm trying to catch some of these. I don't know that I'll catch a lot of them because I'm in the midst of a bunch of projects at the moment, but I am trying to catch as many as I can because I find them really fascinating. And don't forget to subscribe to Heather Carter's channel, and subscribe while you're here. I would love to have you as part of my unicorn family. And I will see you guys all very, very soon. Remember to like this video, share this video if you know somebody who would enjoy this discussion, and if you want to book a tarot reading with me, you can always do that over at supportivetarot.com. Thanks so much, you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!